When I met Zoe, I didn't know Zoe. I met my future husband, Bill. I'm not going to lie and say it was easy. It was very tough for me for I think, a good couple of years.
I don't know if I said I was a cross-dresser, if I said I was a transvestite, if I'd never heard the term transgendered before. I certainly hadn't come across it then. I think I just kind of blurted out that I wear women's clothes.
Straight is used to generally denote heterosexual, but it also sort of carries with it this sort of sense of normalcy and yada, yada, yada. The moment you come out as cross-dresser, transgendered to transsexual, you're no longer straight. Just on the surface, it takes a while to get used to the fact that the rest of the world isn't really going to see you as a married couple.
I found out that Betty cross-dressed about 10 days into our dating. And I knew it was a sexual thing, and I knew it was fun. It was role play and that kind of thing. Later, I realized it was not as simple as that, or that wasn't all of it. Most of the wives usually find out 10, 15, 20 years into a marriage. But for me and a lot of other women my age, we were finding out before. So instead of just, having information that was sort of, how do you tolerate this horrible thing, I wanted information out there that was more, how do you enjoy it, how do you live, how do you, not just sort of grit your teeth and bear it. I wanted more people to know that we existed. So maybe more couples would come out, because we were always the only couple anywhere, and I knew there were thousands and thousands more.
As soon as I realized the difference between boys and girls, I figured I was gypped. And, when you do dress up as a little kid, the boys dress in dad's clothes and clomp around those Oxfords and whatnot, and little girls, trip around in their mom's heels. Well, which pair do you think I put on? As soon as I had to go through the rigmarole of accepting that I was male, I started getting into it, and I really like it now. I feel like I'm in perfect balance.
If the husband is closeted, therefore the wife kind of has to be. But in our case, since, Minerva's out, I'm just as out too. I've got pictures of us on my desk at work where he's in drag. A lot of my, heroes and crushes and things growing up were men who wear makeup, or, Duran Duran and Boy George and Adamant and all that, and that's always been kind of, my ideal. Just the whole getting ready together, doing our makeup together, he helps me out with the false eyelashes, all that. It's just so much fun.
And to find somebody who was into a man who does the stuff that I do, and found no problem with me being completely straight, that's pretty damn rare.
I went through a process of where, I asked whether or not he was gay and whether or not what that meant. It was a discovery for myself as well as for Zoe. I went through every emotion possible. I was confused, angry, later on, that is. I felt slightly deceived, but when I discovered that Zoe was going through a similar discovery, and it was really hard for her to even explain, it sort of helped me to understand.
They're the big three chief fears that most partners of cross-dressers have, and that's, is he gay? The second one is he going to want to become a woman? And the third is, does this make me a lesbian? Sexually, I think a lot of women are scared to unleash some lesbian desire that they're uncomfortable with, and that's the serious part that you have to deal with.
The attraction to Zoe, especially initially, was very hard for me. It was like an on and off switch. I preferred Bill, the person that I got to know in 2 years. It took a while for us to even hold hands in public.
One of the reasons that partners have a lot of trouble with cross-dressing husband or any of the transgendered stuff is that we haven't accepted gender variance in general. People understand at certain points in history when women were dressing as men in order to change their lives, in order to go out and be sailors or soldiers or run their own shops or marry women in some cases. The interesting thing is that people don't see men in dresses the same way.
Society isn't ready for this to be really acceptable. It does make people uncomfortable. I think that's the key problem. For a man to aspire to be a woman is thought of as, well, the ultimate underachiever. I grew up in a Catholic military school my whole life, very macho the whole time, guns, NRA, soccer, football, hockey, camping, climbing, and just repressing everything that wasn't about killing a small furry animal. Everything I had learned for 20-something years was, this is just wrong and it must stop. So I was, fighting against who I thought I was supposed to be. I think it made me rather an unbearable person until I was able to come to terms with my past and realize that that past was more of a drag than this is.
We're expected to be these type A bastards, go kill them all attitude. And
I would argue that when you're in drag, you're more of a type A bastard than when you're not. A lot of men do use it as an excuse to become that traditional sort of passive, softer female personality, but a lot of them, including this one, do not do that. So.
Yeah, I'm gentle on the in my male clothes, and then I put this stuff on. I feel like a superhero, and it gives me authority to use male energy that I'm otherwise not comfortable with.
Men's bodies aren't objectified in the same way that women's bodies are. Women's clothes, whatever it's thigh-high stockings or whatever, or waist cinches, they're designed to accent and augment the body in interesting ways. And when you kind of have a boy body in there instead of a woman's body, it's sort of, there's a really great sort of tension or something about it that was sexy to me. But people can't see that because that's, it's taboo.
Sex is power, without a doubt, and I feel I have more sex appeal, more sexual power and control, or I know what to do with it, because what is a man supposed to do with sex? But nothing. You're supposed to stand there and be quiet and just look tough and strong, and, well, I don't pull that off very well.
Even though cross-dressers, I think, a lot of the times will say stuff like that, this doesn't have anything to do with sexuality or identity or any of that sort of stuff. It's all just sort of this, I'm expressing my feminine side,
It's
which I
glossed
think
over.
is a bunch of hoo-ha. Even for somebody who's just donning a nightgown for the moment and, jerking off and getting off in that instance, there's still something going on, and that's like an identity thing. A lot of us at 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 14 had this instance of going, well, how do I reconcile the fact that I want to be a girl, but I'm okay with being a guy, but there's this part of me that wants to be a girl.
For the partners, that's the harder part. It was a feeling that it was this major shift of personalities. And that's really weird, because you feel like I was already married to an actor. And then feeling like I was living to two different people, two different genders all the time.
I know a lot of the times that I get taken for like an effeminate gay boy, and that's fine, I don't care. I've been able to throw away a lot of my ideas about what femininity was, or what being female was, or what women did. I modified it to sort of fit reality.
It's a change of who you are. It is puberty. It really is. And, only you don't get to be a 14-year-old girl who's supposed to look stupid putting on too much makeup and wearing her mother's skirts or whatever. You're just, so there you are, a man in your 20s running out and don't know what clothes to wear, how to act, what to do, how to do makeup. So it's horrible.
And the more I hang out with Zoe, the more she comes into her own as a person, sort of embracing both the Bill personality and the Zoe personality. I think that the hardest thing for me was when Zoe was dressed up. It's a completely different person. And not someone at the time that I would have gotten to know. Now I feel an attraction, and it's easier for me to hold hands in public. And we went on a vacation for a week, and it was Zoe the whole time, for the whole week, and it was the best experience we both had had.
There are guys that I've met now, cross-dressers I've met, who, they've been married for 15, 20 years and their wives don't know. And a lot of them can't, and I think are just going to take it, you know, take it to the grave, effectively. The thing about that is, in some cases, I'm not sure that that's the wrong thing to do, because there are wives who really just never get over it.
The last milestone was finally achieved. I had the talk with my father. Everybody else in the family, you know, extended and otherwise, has known some people for years and years. And it was amazing how well this, you know, Ivy League school naval officer, type A VP, director of sales type, football loving, beer drinking, brr, tough guy, rolled with it. And I broke down and cried about that.
It is possible to have that sensitive, sensual side we associate with females without putting on a skirt. I never expect everyone to go, wow, hey, great, good for you. But it would be nice if, you know, people just would be like, you're a freak, I don't like what you're doing, but hey, what the hell? You know, that would be enough.
The lovely thing about the book that I've discovered is how many trans people have come up and said, you know, I never really thought about how my wife felt about this. The groovy thing about the 21st century is that maybe we'll actually get to outgrow this idea that men are one way and women are another, and the traits that are men and traits that are women are exclusive. Gender is in your mind.